The Hype House. If you haven't heard about the Hype House, this is essentially the group of top-level TikTokers. Those guys all got together, went into one house, became the Hype House. This group, which only formed a couple of months ago, have absolutely astronomically blown up, become incredibly viral, and the individuals in the house have become massive social media celebrities. Now, when you've got something that just comes out of the gate in being incredibly popular, you're gonna get drama. And that's what brings us to this video, because the drama is all directed, all the hate, all the exposés have been directed at this man, Thomas Petrou, the manager of the Hype House. Now, why the hell am I making a video on the manager of the Hype House? Let me tell you a story. Last year, I went on a trip to Los Angeles and I effing loved it. And I met so many really nice people. One of those people was Thomas Petrou. Now, first of all, you just gotta remember that I am a tiny little speck in the ocean. I am a little YouTuber from Ireland. I'm a piece of shit. So because I was flying over to Los Angeles, I thought it'd be really cool if I just tried to reach out to people who were legitimately in the industry of social media. And that was Thomas Petrou.
We're living the American dream. We're in Denny's.
Welcome to Denny's Diner.
And we're with Thomas Petrou.
Thomas, at the time when I first messaged him, was working for Team 10, he was working for Jake Paul. He was massively well connected. There was no such thing as the Hype House. There was no such thing as Renegade. Thomas was just a guy who networked incredibly well within social media. I gave Thomas a message and just said, hey, would you be interested in meeting up and like doing a podcast? Bear in mind, this guy was incredibly busy. He was going around doing loads of videography shoots, photography shoots for loads of social media stars, and he did not have to even respond to me. Thomas was actually happy to give us his time, and that just genuinely shocked me. Thomas came over to our apartment, we brought him in, we did a podcast with them, we asked him loads of questions, and genuinely, I was really shocked by this guy. From looking at his Instagram, looking at like a lot of different things, I don't think you get the full picture of Thomas, or I certainly didn't. So when this guy showed up, we did this podcast. As weird it is to say, I was like blown away by him.
Because I felt like making those friends and making those connections were more important than making any money for those 2 months. So I literally had $0. I was like literally barely eating. I was just to be in that opportunity and be in that environment.
So remember that this is my gut reaction to Thomas. This is my initial first impression of just what he is like as a person. This is before the Hype House. This is before he's big on Instagram, before he's big on TikTok, before he had all this going on for himself, and before he's turned into an evil bastard by the internet. This is how Thomas came across. So bear in mind, we are listening to Thomas now when people were doubting him.
But I care a lot more about making a successful business that can set up my kids in the future to be able to run a business when they grow up and keep spreading, because that's what I care about.
But when we left this interview, I really liked Thomas. Thomas came across so well to us that when we came out of the podcast, we were like, wow, I think this guy could go pretty far.
I don't care how much I have to work. I don't care if I have to work 24 hours a day. I will make sure that I have a house by the time I'm like 24, 23, hopefully. Like I would go do a shoot at 1 a.m. till 7 a.m. if I had to every single day to get a house in a year.
So for a guy like this who made actually such a good impression on us, why does the internet have such a bad impression of him? This is where we're going to need to get into a little bit of the drama. Okay, let's detail this as quickly and succinctly as possible. A group formed under the name of the Hype House. The individual members of the Hype House promoted this entity and blew it up and gave it a huge amount of attention and made it successful before there was a formal business structure behind it. In a business, you have formal structure and clearly identified roles. This house that promoted it and blew up into a household name did not necessarily have any of that. You cannot actually at this moment consider it a business. So one of the original members of this group and who came into this house, Daisy Keach, reading between the lines, it seems like she was not as aligned with this group and not as happy with where it was moving. She was obviously very unsure of what her role was in the business, her authority within it, and what her stake was in it. As you can imagine, not feeling aligned with the group and not seeing eye to eye with some of the other members, while being unsure of where you stand within the business structure, that is a really difficult place to be in. So Daisy pulled out, separated herself from the Hype House, but obviously would retrospectively go like, yeah, but how much of this is mine? So now what we're seeing is the public dispute between a group of people retrospectively trying to claim different portions of the business that grew such a successful name so quickly without there being structure. As they say, entering into business with your friends, it's usually not a good move, and when it's such a public dispute, things get ugly. There was a failure within the business to keep the peace and to clearly identify different roles for everyone. And so it's this kind of unwise business practice that you would assume the fall guy is going to get criticized for, and the fall guy being Thomas Petrou here, but no. Instead, the internet has decided to just simply attack his character. As is typical of the internet, Thomas Petrou has been accused of greed, manipulation, and worst of all, unworthy of his success. I think we need to remember how the internet is very good at reframing people's actions and making them look particularly bad. In Thomas's case, his hard work of successfully networking with so many social media personalities is reframed as manipulating people who are younger than him. Him taking on a leadership role and setting innocuous rules for the house is seen as power-hungry, manipulative, and controlling, rather than a guy who simply wants a business to succeed. Thomas is in a difficult situation as it is in terms of navigating how the whole business is going to form around the hype house. But on top of that, he's got this incredible public criticism that jumps to the conclusion of demonizing him and making his actions seem absolutely reprehensible, where at the heart of it, I know this is a genuine, nice, hard-working guy, and so I just think that's a bit sad.
But yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate those words too. I think that I can turn this into something really cool and really successful with the personalities in this house and everything. I just gotta believe in it.
On YouTube, there's always going to be big drama. There's going to be the exposés. There's going to be all this kind of crap. Thomas got a heart, and however the internet wants to mischaracterize him and turn him into something he isn't, it's just not the truth. And I think I'm here as a reminder that like a lot of these people who are online or whatever, they're real people, and oftentimes they're just normal people.
Moving to Los Angeles with no money in my pocket, no job, nothing, and then just trying to figure out life from there while filming all of it. Like after a year, I was like, I literally like hate my life. I was like, I hate what I'm doing. I hate that it's not going anywhere. But I just push through.
So if you're one of those people that has actually watched a lot of these drama channels and has consumed a lot of content around this, then the guy who I would consider a friend, Thomas Petrou, has probably been painted in an incredibly bad light. This guy who's made this incredibly successful thing is genuine, nice, and determined. And as someone who I genuinely could click with. Now, you can believe me, you can not believe me, maybe you don't care about my opinion whatsoever, but I will say, my opinion's pretty good. So, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. That's it, I'm out, goodbye.